Yo, welcome to Urban Gameplay Gaming Countdown. It's Matt Pepper, counting down the hottest games.
Yo, what's good, peeps? It's that time for the weekly countdown video, and I want to take a look at the greatest PlayStation 3 exclusives to grace a console. Just like every console before it, there is a day where a platform has to be laid to rest, and while the PlayStation 3 day isn't quite up yet, and I feel that it can't be helped to look back on some of the gems that came out on the system in form of console exclusives, and the list will only consist of one game per franchise, and also will be based on games that I've actually played, so I'm bound to miss a few gems on this list. So feel free to pop any games that you feel that I've missed in the comments, and without further ado, peeps, let's take a look at the top 10 PlayStation 3 exclusives of all time.
Number 10.
Yo, Little Big Planet 2 may be a cutesy game with a little sack boy for a mascot, but you can't help but love the charming 2.5D platformer, featuring not only a whole host of customizable options for your character, allowing you the option to dress them up as whoever you like, even Ezio from the Assassin's Creed series if you've got the creative know-how, but the game features one of the most beloved level creators this generation and had led to a vast amount of level cropping up for players to tackle and enjoy. For me personally, Little Big Planet 2 may be considered a sequel, but since it managed to improve so much in the original game, that's the reason why I had to place this game on the list. After playing the first Little Big Planet game, you can see how much they improved over the years working on the sequel.
Number 9.
Some may consider Heavy Rain an interactive movie with quick-time events to fill in the blanks for gameplay, but its interactive touch towards the touching and engaging story only helped pull the players in after no more than an hour into the game. From my perspective, the story is easily the reason why the game is on the list, because the game story has you on the edge almost through the entire time playing the game, and to some extent even forcing you to make decisions that will affect the rest of the game for the better or the worse. There was a lot to enjoy in Heavy Rain when it first came out, and at the time it had really pushed the hardware of the PlayStation 3 to the limits as best it could. Just like the previous titles, Heavy Rain was also given its own remastering on the PS4, which should kind of be some form of indication of the type of quality this game resonates to, and I feel if you never had the opportunity to play this game on the PS3, it's definitely worth playing if you've got the PS4.
Number 8.
The lovable duo of Ratchet the Longback and Clank the smart yet cheeky robot sidekick to Ratchet has always been a PlayStation exclusive, and probably one of the reasons alone to purchase a PlayStation for the next installment in the franchise. For me personally, Ratchet and Clank was never a franchise that steered clear of colour, and only emphasised on it the longer the series went on, and with a crack in time really showcasing just how far the series has come. Not only is the game gorgeous, but the gameplay is fun and tight as ever, with all this being tied together by a plot that has expanded over a number of games and only managed to get better with each one that we've seen, and that's definitely why I'd include this classic on the list.
Number 7.
Yo, even though Valkyria Chronicles does almost everything in its power to look like a JRPG, it is actually anything but. Instead, the game totes an intriguing amalgamation of turn-based strategy with a third-person shooter. This interesting gameplay design only shines out more when you look upon just how well the characters and animation look, especially when you realize how old the title is slowly becoming. To make a good game better, the story easily draws you in within the first couple of hours, forcing you to take part in a war between two factions, one of which your nation has no reason to be in. After long enough, the game saw a resurgence of interest when the title was for years begged and pleaded to come to PC, and with those prayers actually being answered now, we've definitely got a remastered version on the PS4. It definitely shows how great this game has become.
Number 6.
Yo, who doesn't like superpowers? Well, if you answered me to that particular question, then this game isn't for you, but for everyone else who loves superpowers, this sequel to another popular PS3 exclusive has exactly what you could want. The gameplay may be that of a third-person shooter, but you're free to roam around the city in your own personal sandbox, aiming to be a paragon good or an infamous evil. Depending on whether you're a hero or a villain, your powers of electricity will lean more towards one or the other. For instance, if you're looking to become infamous, then your powers will end up becoming more explosive for all the more destruction. Whilst Infamous 2 may be the sequel, it improves on a number of features on the original, hence its place here as opposed to Infamous 1.
Number 5.
For some, Kratos may not be the world's greatest protagonist or nice guy, especially when you consider how many gods he's brutally murdered. You can't deny that the game that he stars in are a staple of the action-adventure genre. That for the majority is down to the fact that the gameplay has always been the game's strongest element and has led to many games over the years trying to even come close to the ever-brooding God of War. The third installment in the series is of no exception to this rule, certainly not when you take into consideration that the developers had left God of War 2 on such a cliffhanger for the players back on the PlayStation 2. Not to mention that the game found itself getting a remastered on the PS4. It should come to no surprise that God of War 3 is definitely one of the best titles released for the PlayStation 3.
Number 4.
Now, on some realness, it may be easy to joke about how half of Metal Gear Solid 4 was nothing more than cutscenes, and you can't disagree just how much impact this title had on the fans of the series. Ultimately, it was the conclusion for one of the most beloved series for fans, and was #1 reason for so many people purchasing a PS3 in the first place. For me personally, you don't even need to take into account that the stealth action gameplay of it all was its own drawing point, something that many stealth action games failed to pull off just as well as Metal Gear Solid 4 did. It shows on why this title deserves a spot on this list without any argument whatsoever.
Number 3.
Yo, Yakuza 5 may not have been the biggest or well-known title over here in the West, but over in Japan, this title definitely reaches critical acclaim with every new release the developers drop. Similar to the classic games such as Shenmue, Yakuza has a few mini-games and easy enough pick up and play fighting mechanics behind it, and a realistic crime drama for a story which is by no doubt the game's biggest draw bar none. For me, I've been drawn into the franchise since playing Yakuza 3 on the PS3, and I feel that this game is so overlooked and underrated by so many gamers who may not really be too familiar with the title or have simply disregarded the game. But believe me peeps, this is certainly one of the hottest titles on the PS3, and I do feel like I must do a separate review for the game, or maybe put up some gameplay just to show how great this game really is.
Number 2.
Now, I know some people instantly disagree that this gem sitting in second position is wrong, and I've been going back and forth as to putting this in the #1 spot or #2 spot, but as I really finished this game on the PlayStation 4, I never really had the chance or the opportunity to fully experience the game on the PS3, and that was the main reason why I couldn't justify placing this game in the #1 position, because it wasn't really a true PS3 experience for me personally, as I really fully played this game on the PS4. But with that being said, there was no way on earth I could leave this game off the list, as I still own the game on the PlayStation 3 and also own a copy on the PS4. Now looking back on it, The Last of Us was definitely one of those titles that symbolized the end of the time for the PlayStation 3, but that didn't stop the game from being hotly anticipated. As soon as gamers set their eyes on the third-person shooter, it was bound to be a smash hit, of which it was definitely that at ease. The world of The Last of Us is a cruel and unforgiving place, but that only makes the story for the game that much better in the long run. Regardless of how many difficult and terrifying spots you may find yourself in as a player, it can't be helped to say that just how incredible this game actually is. The Last of Us is definitely one of the greatest games that I've played, and it's certainly up there with some of my favorite titles of all time.
Number 1.
Yo, maybe it's the current Untried 4 buzz that's got me gassed, but I feel that from the first moment I played Untried 2, that experience has ultimately stuck with me through and throughout. Even though the PS3 had seen 3 Uncharted games in its time, I personally consider Uncharted 2 to be the best amongst them all. Uncharted 1 may have paved the way for the franchise with its beloved character and thief Nathan Drake, but for me personally, Uncharted 2 is where the game really hit the ground running, managed to improve on almost every single aspect in the game, from shooting to the graphics and even the story itself. The single player in the game was of course the main drawing point for a lot of players, but at no point did that stop the game from having a fairly strong multiplayer scene. That honestly wasn't too much of a surprise when you realize just how fun and entertaining the running and gunning in the game was, even after the main campaign was over. Trust, I'm not gonna lie peeps, for this list picking #1 was extremely difficult, as I love both Last of Us and Uncharted 2, and in my opinion it does keep changing as which was the best game on the PS3 from time to time with me, but I do really feel that Uncharted 2 was such a superb game, and I feel know that because I recently played the game on the PS4, that also pipped my decision on placing this game at the #1 position. But who knows what I will be thinking this time next month or this time next year, whether that will change and Last of Us will be #1 game on the PS3. Anyway, peeps, do let me know what your favorite PS3 exclusive game of all time was and any gems that I may have missed off the list. Do hit the like button if you enjoyed this countdown video, and also do subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content on the channel and you haven't had the opportunity to subscribe yet. And until next urban gameplay video, we definitely say peace out, peeps.
Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for more cool urban gameplay videos.